For over a decade, NXT has been the place where WWE builds its future stars. Over the years, we've seen so many huge names come through NXT before becoming main event superstars on the main roster. Names such as Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, just to name a few, have all spent time developing in NXT before becoming some of the biggest names in wrestling today. Hell, recent names such as the young OG Javon Evans, the Ruler Obafemi, and Mr. Lemon Pepper Stepper Trick Williams are amongst recent names who from NXT have gone on to make huge waves on the main roster, while still quite early on in their careers. And right now, NXT is once again stacked with talent that could become the next generation of legendary WWE superstars. So today, we're going to look at my picks for the top 5 next big stars from NXT who could be dominating WWE in the next few years. And stick around to the very end because I'll also be giving some honorable mentions of a few other stars who are on the brink of superstardom as well. And where better off to start than the current NXT North American champion, Miles Bourne. Yes, when speaking about Miles Bourne, we really have here a superstar who has all the tools it takes to one day be the face of the WWE. Other than having an amazing physique, Miles Bourne also has incredible in-ring skills. I mean, if you've had a chance of watching one of Miles Bourne's matches, you will know that this kid can go in the ring. Just look at how high he jumps when he does a drop kick. I mean, it's insane what he can do. That's why it comes as no surprise he's been often compared to one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time, the legend killer, Randy Orton. Apart from these two having very similar in-ring skills, the comparison has mostly been drawn from the fact that Miles Bourne literally looks like the 2002 version of Randy Orton. I mean, I had to do research initially when I saw him to make sure he wasn't Randy's son. Now, with a comparison like that, it already tells us that the sky is the limit for this young superstar. Potential consistently shown from his debut on NXT's Level Up in 2022 to his time in the No Quarter Catch crew and now as one of the more important superstars on the NXT roster. And his story becomes even more inspiring when you find out that Miles is actually deaf in both ears. Yes, Miles actually communicates by reading lips, a skill he developed from a very young age. Despite being 90% deaf, Miles has consistently been vocal about the fact that he would not let his disability limit his potential in the business in any way, shape or form. And it is fair to say he has definitely kept that promise with him being one of the most prominent members of the NXT roster. And although he does have areas of development still to be had in the NXT brand, there is no doubt in my mind that when he does eventually get called up to the main roster, that this is a superstar that fans will have no problem getting behind, which will eventually push him up the card and one day allow him to be a world heavyweight champion. And now the next person on our list was actually recently defeated by Miles Bourne for the Men's North American Championship. And of course, we're talking about none other than All Ego Ethan Page. And unlike some of the others on this list, Ethan Page is a superstar that has been primed and ready for the main roster since the day he stepped foot on the NXT brand. I mean, this is hardly surprising considering this is a superstar that won the NXT Men's Championship just 40 days after being signed for the company. And before he even hit a full 365 days on the brand, he was already holding the NXT North American Championship as well. Isn't that impressive? Yes, we can say Ethan Page is probably the most complete superstar on the NXT brand currently, and honestly feels like a main roster superstar already. With a solid heelish character, very good in-ring skills, and an amazing ability on the mic, Ethan Page will definitely be a top player when he eventually gets the call up to the main roster, which could be any day from now. Yes, it has been rumored that Ethan Page could potentially be called up to the main roster to join the Vision faction, who is in dire need of some star power, something that All Ego can definitely bring. And what makes Page even more special is his ability to make other superstars that he's in programs with feel even more important. If you need an example, just go back and look at his feud with Miles Bourne. And for these reasons and many more, I have no doubt that when Ethan does eventually get a call up to the main roster, it won't be long until we see a title on him. Now let's head over to the women's division where we will find our next big star. And of course I'm talking about the master of the Soul Snatcher, Sol Ruca. Yes, just like Ethan Page, we can make an argument that Sol Ruka already has all it takes to become a big player on the main roster. Ever since she made her debut on an episode of NXT Level Up in 2022, where she lost against Kiana James, it was already clear that there was something special about her. Having no previous wrestling experience and coming from an acrobatics and tumbling background, it was already clear that she was going to be able to do a lot of things in that ring other superstars couldn't. That's why upon her return from injury in 2024, she was consistently featured in title matches, which eventually saw her win the NXT Women's Speed Championship against Candice LeRae in April 2025, and also win the vacant NXT Women's North American Championship at that year's NXT Stand and Deliver, becoming the third ever NXT Women's Double Champion in the process. Yes, the stars truly do align for a successful Sol Ruka run on the main roster, and I say this considering she's already had a couple matches on SmackDown where she put up an impressive showing. And if you need any more evidence of WWE's trust in her already as a potential main event player, it is important to note that she was not only picked to be on John Cena's final ever Saturday main event's farewell show, but she actually picked up a win against one of the most legendary WWE women's wrestlers of all time, Bayley. And although she no longer holds the NXT Speed and Women's North American Championship, I have no doubt that once she's done with her intense feud with Zarya, that she will be called up to the main roster and snatch every soul on the Raw or SmackDown women's division. And when talking about double champions, we won't have to look that far to find our next NXT big star, Jacy Jayne. Yes, just like some others on this list, we can make an argument that she is already primed and ready for the main roster. And she can make an argument that she has been for quite a while, but us fans just didn't take notice to it. Yes, despite being on the NXT brand for a couple of years and having some notable feuds, it seems like fans didn't really take notice to Jacy Jayne for quite a while. That's why when she surprisingly defeated Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Women's Championship on a May 27th episode of NXT in 2025, it genuinely came across as one of the most shocking moments that have ever happened in NXT history. I mean, if you go back and watch some of the streamers' reaction to Jacy winning the title, you would think it was the equivalent to Santino Marella winning the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, nobody expected it. And that's why when she won the title, it was assumed that she was going to be a transitional champion. But oh boy, we were all wrong. Yes, Jacy has been anything but a transitional champion. Along with her stable Fatal influence, she has been amongst one of the most influential and important figures on the NXT roster. And as it stands, she is currently a two-time NXT Women's Champion and has even held the TNA Women's Knockouts Champion, becoming one of NXT's few double champions. Yes, Jacy really does have it all. That's why I have no doubt in my mind that when she does get called up to the main roster, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, she will be one of the most important figures on either brand. Now let's head back over to the men's side for the final superstar on this list. And here we're going to be talking about a superstar who recently made his return to the NXT brand after a long hiatus. And if you haven't already guessed, of course I am referring to Tony D'Angelo. Now, I've been a fan of Tony for a long time, and the fact that he hasn't already made his main roster debut, to me, is absolutely abysmal. After being away for several months, it was assumed amongst some wrestling fans that once Tony D'Angelo made his return to WWE, he would be automatically brought up to the main roster. But he was instead repackaged and given an anti-hero type gimmick, which led to him returning at NXT Deadline, where he laid waste to Javon Evans. Where some may not actually be a fan of this new repackaging compared to his old gimmick, I'm actually a fan of it, and I actually believe that this is a gimmick that could work on the main roster. Like a lot of the others on this list, Tony D'Angelo for me has all it takes to be a successful player on the main roster. And now that he's done with the whole Dark State drama and has set his sights on the NXT Men's Championship, I really do hope that once he does win the championship and eventually lose it, I really do hope WWE officials do make the call to bring him up to the main roster, because this is a superstar that has paid his dues on NXT for many years and he's ready for the main roster spotlight. And there we have it. Although some of you may not agree with my list, and I do look forward to hearing some of your opinions in the comments, that is my top 5 pick for the next breakout stars from NXT that I do feel like will make big waves on the main roster. But like I said at the start of this video, I would give some honorable mentions to a few other superstars that I also do feel like will be successful when they get that call up. Names such as Ricky Saints, Dion Lennox,
Tatum Paxley,
Lola Vice, Blake Monroe, and Jada Parker are amongst other names that I do also feel like will be big players on the main roster.
Oh, how could I forget about Kalani Jordan as well?
But there we have it. I go by the name of Grapple Talks, and I really do hope you guys did enjoy this first video of mine. But yeah, I look forward to hearing your opinions in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.